Warning, this podcast may contain bad language and content and more language in sports that some listeners may find inspirational, and the language might be inspirational and the language might be offensive. And the content.
That's a long disclaimer today.
It was rambly.
Do you want to do it again?
Nope.
Welcome to Seesaw Podcast.
With your hosts, T, Cleves and Selena.
Every week, bringing some much-needed balance and humour to brighten up what can sometimes be a dark, disabled world.
Hello and welcome back to Seesaw. We are here with another wonderful episode with Naqi. But it's not just Naqi. Selena, how are you?
I'm okay.
Why is it you have so much energy outside of the podcast? And as soon as we hit record, it's like, I'm just going to do an intro. And, Selena's not going to turn up until like midway through. And
Sorry. It's just, it's the big question, isn't it? How are you? It's loaded.
How was your lunch?
Lunch? Dinner? We never record at lunchtime.
Dinner, whatever. Your tea.
Oh, don't call it tea, it's dinner. It was alright. I had beans on toast, which is not the kind of food I normally eat.
Not an athletic meal, that.
No.
All those beanie proteins.
Well, what sort of bread? Was it adult bread or kid bread?
It was adult bread. What is it? Super grain.
Yes!
That is the best bread.
It is the best bread.
Let's be fair.
Do you have any sauce with your beans on toast?
Well, they were baked beans, so it's already in sauce.
No, man, like barbecue.
Or brown.
Oh.
Or a bit of spice. Well, what are your thoughts on crunchy beans?
What?
Nothing out of Nottingham at all.
Okay, crunchy beans. Some people that I know like to put sweet corn in their beans
No.
for an added crunch.
No.
I fucking hate sweet corn, so I don't do this. However, I do sometimes dice up some red pepper, add it to my beans. Crunchy beans.
No.
Beans with a crunch.
No.
Don't keep saying no. Come back to me when you've had... Do you like sweet corn?
No.
God damn it. Do you like red pepper?
Pepper's fine, yes. But
Fine.
I don't, not with baked beans. Yeah, fine with kidney beans or butter beans or proper beans, but not baked beans.
Stop being discriminatory. Look,
Beanist.
give it a go, mate. It will change your life. Add crunch to your bean.
I think we've gone off on a severe tangent here about beans.
So what sports have you guys been doing lately?
Tea. How's that archery arm coming along?
Well, by that, if you mean I've not thought about it once since, because it brings me to tears from those savage burns. Not at all. How about you, Mr. Cleves?
None of that shit. Don't need to. My physique's already in top performance.
I was trying to think on the fly something that I could suggest you had a physique of, but...
Atlas? A god?
Yeah, if we're talking an atlas from a library.
Or a god, but one of the fat ones. Dionysus. He says drinking wine.
Yeah, that probably is you, to be fair.
I'm not in poor shape.
I never said you were.
I'm in an acceptable shape. I just don't do a lot of sport.
Okay.
Got a hectic lifestyle, all right? God. I do have sport-based things to talk about, though.
So, is it quick blind news?
Ish. It's not really news, though, now that Okay, fine. It's about Dwarf Sports Association. They basically get fuck all funding from Disabled Sports Association UK if you're in Scotland. And apparently there's the Dwarf World Games, which I'm hoping by this point hasn't happened, in Cologne, that I'm now advertising. And there's a lot of competitors there that are setting up like just giving pages and things like that because they have to fully fund getting there and their own accommodation and everything like that. So check it out. Give them some funding. Maybe just donate a $5 or something or whatever you can to try and get competitors there.
Link in the show notes. So before we get into Naqi and talking about the sport of kings and queens, it's tennis. it's tennis, and Wimbledon's a very poncy, like,
Wow.
royal sport. Okay, I'm going to redo that.
Tennis. Why would you say that? And also, it's not just about tennis. It's like about parkrun and blind football and all sorts of stuff.
Goalball.
Let me do that again then.
Too late. It's not getting cut now. We're just going to go straight into the static, into Naqi.
Oh, no.
Sport. Let's talk sport because I love sport. Sport is my life. I think everyone should do sport. And I know you do a lot of sport as well.
I heard your intro on one of the episodes. And man, she's good.
No, so I know you do tennis. I think you do goalball. I think you do parkrun. Which is your favourite sport? Which one do you want to kick off with?
Oh, hands down, blind tennis. It is one of the probably the few sports I could do 7 days a week if I had the opportunity. Absolutely love it. And before I'd come to the UK and like one of my friends at the RNIB introduced me to Metro Blind Sports, and I was like, oh my God, there's so many sports out there which I'd never even thought about. Because growing up, I mainly used to play cricket with my dad. I'd done lots of martial arts. And then at school, I, occasionally have a guide for running or like do a baseball, like a bit of baseball with my PE instructor, etc. But it wasn't really with an audible ball. I mean, the cricket was, but nothing else. And it was only when I got introduced to Metro Blind Sports, I was like, my goodness, there's so many amazing sports out there. And I had never really followed tennis, didn't know how the hell it was played. And just being on a tennis court for the first time, because I clearly had no idea. I was in formal shoes and jeans. It was clearly I was so good. And it was just a magical feeling to be on a tennis court. And this was in January 2016. And I haven't looked back since. It's been an absolutely incredible journey. I've hopefully gotten better with time and had the amazing opportunities of playing in kind of national competitions and then internationals as well.
Just quickly for me, and anyone that might not know, for our listeners, how is blind tennis different to regular tennis?
Firstly, it's blind people who play it. Probably the biggest difference, because that mainstream ball is fast and hard. You won't want to play with that when you can't see it. But the scoring is pretty much the same. The basic concepts are the same. The adaptations are as follows. So depending on your sight category, just like in a lot of different sports, the rules are slightly different, because when partially sighted people play, obviously they can see the ball a bit. So their court size is slightly bigger. But I'm going to talk about blind tennis because that's what I do. The net height is slightly lower, so it's 83 centimeters instead of regularly, which is 90. The baseline and tram lines are tactile, and oftentimes the center marker as well, so you can orientate yourself on court, especially in the middle of rallies. And then if I'm serving to Selena, for example, I'll be like, ready, Selena? She says yes. I say play, and then you've got 2 seconds to serve the ball. So because obviously there's no eye contact, so you have to say ready, yes, play, and then you go to serve. And it's pretty much the same. You have to serve cross court, and generally for a blind player, you get up to 3 bounces because you can't really hear the ball in the air. So the first bounce is for you to know where the ball is, and then the second and third to get towards it and then hit it back. Yeah. Now, depending on your sight, those bounces reduce the better your sight. And I would say those are probably the main adaptations. So I actually have a ball here. Let me bring it down. This is the rattle it makes when it bounces. So you can kind of hear it, and it's fairly soft. So even if it hits you in the face, it's not too bad. That's how it's played.
That's always the thing people forget about. I played blind cricket for around 5-6 years. It's like, the adaptation, and people are like, oh, how do you do it? It's like, is it a different ball? It's like, well, I play international style and domestic. Like, here's the international ball, and they're like, that's solid. I was like, yeah, wait till it hits you in the face. You're lucky.
I know, something. I've had it in the head once. It's awful. Yeah.
I had the England #1 player. I was playing across him at bat, and it came clean off the drive, and it hit me in the eye, and I was lucky to not shatter my orbital bone. It hit me that hard.
Oh my God, man.
And I don't remember the rest of the afternoon. Like, I don't remember any of it. Should have probably gone to hospital. But yeah, that's the thing people forget. It's not about the adaptations. It's about the danger that comes.
Oh, absolutely. And like tennis doesn't have that same danger to an extent, because the balls are much softer, but like goalball massively, because that's played with medicine balls, quite heavy.
Yeah.
And you get all sorts of injuries, which I do as well, but I absolutely love the thrill of it.
I think you like picking the most difficult things in the world and then mastering them. Because I've tried blind tennis. My parents are massive tennis players, and I've grown up with tennis. So when I was partially sighted, I used to play with them mainly, just like on half court tennis. And then, so when I heard of blind tennis, when I lost my sight, I was like, oh God, yeah, I want to do that because I love tennis. It's so hard. So hard.
It is really hard. It is really hard like because the ball's tennis. So small.
Yeah.
It's so small, so you have to be very quick and very accurate.
And you're scooping. I felt like you have to grate the racket across the floor a lot. Is that
depends actually?
Good way?
No, you're absolutely right. It absolutely depends on the type of shot the person's done. Often when you're starting out, the people normally do very kind of loopy, low shots. You're often having a scooping, but the more advanced the game gets, oftentimes that won't be the case. You can be hitting it from waist height as well, etc. So it just depends. You've got to, and that's the hard thing people don't realize about blind tennis with multiple bounces. Because if it's one bounce, it's easier to follow the trajectory. But with three bounces, you literally need to anticipate the height of the ball, the direction of the ball, the speed of the ball, the spin on the ball, all of those, and then make a judgment call on where you are on court and where you want to hit it and how hard, etc. And that takes a lot of practice. But just something I love, and I love goalball as well. I really enjoy it, but I guess the reason I'm not so good at goalball is you need a team and a proper setting to practice it. And obviously I don't have that. Whereas with tennis, I just need to invite someone else and go like, yo, can we have a hit? Because the club I'm a part of, they're pretty good. They've got the tactile lines and they've got the balls, etc. That makes life a lot easier in some ways. But I wouldn't quite call it mastering, but I do try and pick up hard things and then try to be half decent at them. Honestly,
now you're being
I would not
modest
call them mastering.
about your achievements. Like, so you've played internationally. Like, come on, tell us about that. What's it like to go to an international blind tennis tournament?
God, what can I say? It was surreal and it was just amazing. So I've played in two internationals in 18 and 19 because since 2020 in COVID, we haven't had, we did have a friendly last year in Poland, but that had no ranking points. So the first one I did was in 2018 in Dublin, and that was my first experience. A bit scary, but again, I really enjoyed it. And the following year, I went to Spain, and again, really enjoyed that tournament, and luckily finished kind of third. That was my first experience with a podium finish. And last year in Poland, I luckily won the tournament, so that felt extra special.
See, master everything.
No. What are you
just kind of won it. You just kind of won it, yeah. Really good.
Kind of. Yeah, just kind of.
So what are you seeded now? You said, I'm just trying to get better, I hope I improve, but you came
So
third
in the
Spain.
UK, I'm the first seed. I won the nationals twice, but internationally, I think I'm the third seed.
So yeah, only the third best blind tennis player in the world. There's modesty and there's downplaying.
No. I want to know who's above you.
You mean in tennis, right?
Yeah.
Well, actually, this is really sad, but the world number one, who I have a lot of admiration for, an amazing guy, and the one I should blame for beating me twice in Ireland and in Spain. He was an amazing guy, bless him. He passed away a couple of years ago. Really an amazing guy who I still look up to a lot. So he's the world number one, obviously, because there hasn't been a tournament since he passed away. He's still ranked world number one. And then the world number two is a guy I've only played once. He's from Mexico. So the world number one is from Japan. The world number two is from Mexico. I've only played him once, and I can say I did beat him on that occasion, but we weren't in the same draw the next time. So he's number two at the moment. And at the time, he was a pretty good player. And obviously, neither of them were there in Poland when I played, but there were other players.
It's just incredible, and as you both said, Selena and Naqi, like, people don't realise how hard these games are. And I haven't given blind tennis a go, but that's because I was such a mediocre cricket player. I was thinking, I'll give blind tennis a go. I'm always happy to give something a go, and I'm like, that sounds terrifyingly hard. And I wasn't that good when the ball's only going in one direction, let alone trying to find it. So
still give it a try, mate. You never know. I think it's one of those things where some people like it and some people absolutely hate it because they're like, I can't track the ball, I can't get it back. And I find the same with goalball as well. Some people just go like, I hate it. Like, you get so injured and the ball hits you so hard. And it's like, yeah, but that's the fun of it, you know. You've got to see what you like. Because I tried others, like I've tried pretty much every VR sport that I could get my hands on, and you know, every person loves their own little thing. I personally don't like stuff like bowling, like archery and stuff. Not because they're not great sports, but I just feel I'm very dependent on sighted people for that. But also, they're not sports that keep me physically active, right? And for me, I was thinking to myself like a year or so ago, why do I love, let's say, blind tennis and goalball a lot more than running or cycling? And I think the reason is the sense of freedom I feel on a tennis court is probably a sense I don't feel anywhere else. Like, I'm literally on that court by myself, no sighted help. I get to make the decision. I get to run around because I know there's not going to be any obstacle as long as I know where I am. And I get to make those decisions, which is special because even when you're running, you have a guide who's kind of being your eyes. When you're cycling, you don't get to steer the bike, you don't get to change the gears, you don't get to blow the horn at naughty people. All that
I think
stuff.
I'm going to have to argue with you about the running thing. Like, you have a guide runner, but like as a 100-meter sprinter, it beats nothing than just running as fast as you can.
Oh, I agree with you on that completely.
I love that.
But in comparison to tennis, I would still rank tennis slightly higher than. I'm not much of a sprinter. There's only once a year that I sprint. When they have the Metro Athletics Championship, I absolutely love it. I love it.
I haven't been there for years.
Maybe you can come down and we can see who runs faster. You'll probably be a lot faster than I am because
I'm getting old.
I think you play.
A bit. My body's like, not holding up.
3 years older than I am. That's not. Come on.
Don't put my age out there. It's one thing putting your own out there.
I'm 21. Remember, so you're just 24. It's fine.
I think we'll have to have Seesaw Olympics then.
I'll pass. I'll sing the national anthem.
That's fair.
No, but you do park runs as well, and I know a lot of visually impaired people. Sorry, American listeners, I don't know if you have park run in America.
They do. They do.
Oh, they do. Oh, it's all right then. There we go.
It's not that big actually. It's not that big, but they do.
So park runs, I know a lot of visually impaired people like love them, and they've got a really good guide runner set up. Is that what you utilize? Or
so I actually started running thanks to park run. Otherwise, I never thought I would run or never thought I could run. And it was, I think Parkrun had a stall at one of the RNIB exhibitions that I went to. They were like, do you fancy trying a 5K? And I'm like, I've never even run 1 kilometer, let alone. But at school, the max we did was like 800 meters. Well, the max I did. And I was no good at that at all because I had no idea about pacing or anything. And I was not very fit. So I was like, I'm not sure. Let's give it a try. And they were like, we'll find you a guide. And they did find me an amazing guide. And I did my first parkrun in 2016. And it was awful. I had no idea how to run. So I would run and walk. And then I did it in, I think, 38 minutes. Felt amazing. And then I did my second park run pretty much the same time. And my body obviously wasn't used to it. And I ended up with a stress fracture at the end of it. So then I was out for about 3 months or so. And then for the first year, I was riddled with injuries, everything from plantar fasciitis to my IT band to, because I guess when your body's not used to something, like running can be quite stressful on your body, right? Especially running on tarmac and stuff. So I had a lot of injuries, and I used to ask a lot of my guys, like, when will I be able to run a 5K without stopping? And they were like, you will, trust me. And it happened after a year or so. So yeah, my running basically started with parkrun. I used to normally email them. They used to find me a guide. And then slowly, I started to meet other people as well who then guided me. And then it went beyond parkrun. And now I'm a member of a group called Achilles, where we run every Thursday. And there's lots of amazing guides that come there.
Sorry, did you say Achilles?
Achilles International, yeah.
Right, people who are notorious
not
for
the
damaging
injury.
their heels. Yeah,
not the injury. and that's how interestingly I found my guide for the marathon. It was through Achilles.
Hang on, you're doing marathon now, right? Okay,
I did one 2 years ago.
You've done a marathon. Of course, you've done a marathon. Of course, you've done everything.
Of course.
Sorry, I forgot who I was talking to.
Second one's coming in September in Berlin, hopefully.
Oh wow! And what made you want to do a marathon?
Well, interestingly, at the time, so in 2019, I was friends with someone who worked at the Vision Foundation, and they kind of contacted me because they knew I used to run. Up until then, I had done a half marathon. So they were like, do you fancy trying a marathon and doing it for us? And I'm like, sure, why not? Because I'm crazy. And then I couldn't train that much actually, and I was really grateful the marathon got postponed to 2021, and I was like, I need to put in the miles and the hours because I want to get a decent time. Because as you guys have probably figured out, I am very competitive with myself. And I was like, my friends are like, mate, you first. Just worry about finishing. I'm like, nope, I need to get a good time. So I trained really hard, and I found my guy through Achilles, and I was like, would you be interested? Because he'd never done a marathon before. We started to do our training, and obviously one of the motivations was as much money as you can kind of raise that for the Vision Foundation, and we absolutely smashed our target and stuff. And just the whole day itself, it was one of the most painful, but honestly one of the funnest days for me. And that's the year I turned 30, and my birthday was in tier 4 lockdown. I was like, I need to do something to make this year a bit special, and it was absolutely the most special. And then I vowed to myself, I'm never doing another marathon. But then the vow only lasted a year.
So don't tell me, right, okay, marathon ticked off the list, gonna do another one. Ironman next?
No, well, I can't swim, unfortunately, so I can't do a triathlon. I've tried to learn how to swim. That's one of the few sports that I've tried and never been able to do. I have no idea why. It's really, I can't even float, weirdly. So I have done biathlons where I can cycle and run, but I've never been able to swim, so I've never done a triathlon.
Okay, I meant Ironman is in the 50, is it 50 miles Ironman? How far is Ironman?
No, so the Ironman is a triathlon where you swim 3.8k, you do 180k bike ride and a full marathon.
Oh yeah, you are right. I did know that.
So I haven't, but I haven't done any ultras if that's what you mean. Because
that's it. That's what
I don't think I fancy anything more than 42. I think 42k is more than enough. It's an amazing thing, guys. Honestly, I would recommend like anyone who wants to give it a try. It's not so much like the running itself; it's just the atmosphere. It's just the whole thing. Like you see people like running for all sorts of causes, and some people who aren't runners and doing it in 6, 7, 8 hours and just doing it. And I just have enormous admiration for everyone who does it, because it's one of the hardest things you'll ever do in your life. I was looking at stats. I think it's like 0.001% of the world's population that even attempts it, and I think it's just an amazing thing to do.
Credit to you. I couldn't imagine doing that, but maybe...
I'm sure you can if you put your mind to it.
Maybe that's what it is. Maybe I need to take the inspiration and then just properly give it a go. I think 5K is a good first step. And of course, I will link like all of these like part run and any other institutions nationally.
Yeah, Achilles International would be a good one because they are worldwide, including in the US. In fact, they're very big in the US, and they find anyone who needs a guide for marathons, for 5Ks or whatever, and it's incredible. And to your point, like 5K is a brilliant start because it is definitely doable. And before you know it, if you enjoy it enough, like I hated running for the first 3 years because I don't know how to do slower runs. Yeah. Once you start to vary up your runs and like start having targets and stuff in mind, like I try and go for just once a year to get a PB. Because you can't get it all the time. It's never going to happen. But once a year sounds like a reasonable target to aim for.
Absolutely. Hopefully. And of course, like the other sport that Selena touched on, do you want to round us out with the trifecta, Selena?
What did I touch on? Goalball?
Yeah, that's the one.
Goalball. So you play goalball?
I do.
What level are we at with that one?
So, as I say, I don't get to train for that. I'm not very good. I am. So with global rankings, players are ranked between 1 and 5. 1 kind of is your novice and 5 is your amazing elite player. So I'm ranked 4. So I play both intermediate and elite, which means I'm probably at the better end of intermediate and a shit elite player. But I'm much better defensively than I am offensively. I haven't got the best shot. So when I play elite, I'm normally centering for the team. So kind of taking up that defensive role. In intermediate, I do a bit of both. But I absolutely love the thrill of it. And this is a very timely podcast because we just had our intermediate trophy finals yesterday, which my team won for the first time. So I was incredibly proud.
Wow.
So we are the best team in the country at the moment.
There you go, because they had you on the team and that can-do attitude. No. Honestly, well, I swear.
I've been with the team for a while and we never won. This was the first year.
Did you play them your TED Talk before you went on court?
I wish.
Was that the difference?
Nothing is impossible.
That's how long the match would have lasted. That was an amazing final. We won 4-3, so it couldn't be any closer.
No, that's really cool. I used to play goalball, but I've recently given up and trying out blind football now. Have you tried that one?
I have, but didn't really like it. I know it sounds
I'm
weird.
loving it.
I think it might have been my first experience was awful. It was in Stratford when they were having some Premier League footballers who wanted to give like us a chance at etc. And I had no idea how to play football, and no one told me that I shouldn't play with my glasses. And someone was trying to tackle me, and my glasses went inside, like cut my skin, so I had to end up in A&E like a few minutes later. So I only tried it once after that, and I don't know if it's to do with some subconscious fear or whatever, but I didn't really like it. Like, didn't particularly enjoy it. So no, I haven't tried that for years now. Maybe worth giving it a try at some point again.
No,
I definitely want to try the sports.
Yeah.
Definitely want to try them.
Yeah. With blind football, I think I'm loving the running aspect more a bit than the actual football bit. I love the bit where I'm chasing the ball and then I forget that, oh yeah, I'm actually supposed to be getting the ball. I'm not just running. But
yeah, that's the thing. That's what I meant with like, I love sports which involve a physical element like archery or like ball and stuff where you're a bit more static, aren't necessarily the things which I particularly enjoy. And as I said, I've tried lots of different sports and like I've tried rock climbing and skiing and all that stuff as well. Skiing is actually an amazing sport as well from a cardio perspective. Absolutely brilliant. As long as you don't mind falling a million times.
I don't like the cold. That's my issue with skiing.
I don't like the cold as well, actually. But one thing I've noticed about myself is I don't like the cold unless it's to do with live sports or exercise. So like I have done parkour in all sorts of temperatures and I have done cycling. But generally, I'm an absolute wuss when it comes to like being out without my jumper and stuff if I'm not doing sports. So it is a weird relationship, but generally skiing is absolutely amazing.
There you go. Another one to try. Well, I think what we'll have to do, Naqi, is we'll have to get you back to talk through some of this in more detail. Because I'm just very aware of keeping you longer.
I've enjoyed this probably more than you guys have.
No, honestly, I feel like,
really
I've been really enjoying listening to you talk. I mean, when we met, I didn't really have a full conversation with you. I didn't really get the opportunity. No. So it's been nice to have this chat. And I'm glad I got you on the show because you've been really good.
No, literally put my life out here, haven't I? Talked about pretty much everything.
But that's where the best content comes. Yeah, through brutal honesty, and that's
exactly.
That's what it's all about.
And hopefully, one of these times we can talk a bit more about other aspects like around independence, around resilience, around other bits, because I feel that is such an important thing, right, when it comes to disabilities and the VR world. And I guess I've had a very different perspective living in different countries and experiencing that as well.
Absolutely. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hand over to Selena, in fact, to wrap us up.
Okay. No, thank you for just putting me on the spot again and making me look like I know what I'm doing. No, but it's been such a great show. Thank you, Naqi, so much for coming on and telling everybody your story. And I hope people have listened, taken on board everything you've said, because you've said some really valuable things. But I think there might be a lot of people out there thinking, oh my God, I can never be like him. He's just taken things to a whole new level and set the bar so high. But I think people need to remember, it's just, from what I've heard anyway listening today, is that can-do attitude, and that's what's going to get you far in life. If you want to get far in life, you've broken down so many barriers and done some amazing things. I want to be more like you, basically. So thank you for coming and inspiring me, never mind anyone else. And hopefully we can get you back.
It has been amazing. And I just want to say, Selena, to your point, if anyone's listening, honestly, I can assure you that I'm no way extraordinary. I think it's just about the attitude you have, and hopefully with a bit of luck and support, you can absolutely get anywhere.
Hopefully you enjoyed all of those sports. But before we cap off, Selena, you are an athlete. Have you got anything coming up that you're training for or got in the works?
I've recently taken up blind football, and that's my thing at the minute. So I am working hard to make something of that.
And I'll make it my mission to take up a sport.
Drinking's not a sport, I've told you.
No, but competitive eating is.
That's not a sport, though. It has to have been at the Olympics to be a sport.
I'll get it in the Olympics. Skateboarding wasn't a sport until like last year.
Yeah, exactly. Olympics.
Very fun.
That's the rule. Okay, so until next week, you can find us at all the links coming up, of course. I won't say anything horrible to the listeners this time. Selena, do you want to say something nice for them?
Thank you for listening to Seesaw Podcast. Your feedback and comments mean a lot to us, so if you'd like to get in touch, you can do so in the following ways.
You can find us on Twitter at Seesaw Pod, Facebook, Instagram and YouTube at Seesaw Podcast. And you can also join us at seesawpodcast.com.
Remember to like, rate, review and share with a friend.
This podcast was recorded in front of a blind audience. I'm from a very working class background. Unless you're just ferreting a ball into a hoop or a goal, you don't do any other sports.